Shalom, everybody. There's a lot of dramatic news coming out of Israel with the situation in Lebanon, the whole Iranian threat. What is Israel going to do? What is Israel doing right now in Lebanon? So without further ado, let's unpack it. But, you know, if you want a reason to believe and to understand why it's so important to have these reports that I'm doing, I just read this morning, I'm in California, by the way, telling the story of Israel here, not just in California, all over the United States, but California is one of my stops. And it's so important to educate people and tell them what's going on in Israel. Just this morning, I read this headline that this CBS News had instructed its journalists not to refer to Jerusalem as part of Israel, saying that this is a very inflammatory topic and they're gonna ignore it. Basically, they're gonna lie about it because Jerusalem is part of Israel. This is how bad the mainstream media, this is how rogue they have gone, that they're going as far as ignoring historical facts by not mentioning that Jerusalem is part of Israel. This is just absurd. So it's very important that we have these reports. As I'm here in America, I'm doing my best to be able to report to you guys the real truth. So be able to share this video. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Telegram to never miss the news, the real reports. We're seeing the situation in Lebanon, and I just want to give you a few numbers. So in the past 24 hours, we've had Yom Kippur. Israel had targeted over 200 Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon, where now, mind you, Yom Kippur is the holiest day for the Jewish people, and we're at an existential war. Israel continues to target Hezbollah. On Yom Kippur alone, by the way, Hezbollah fired over 150 rockets into Israel on the holiest day of the year for the Jewish nation, sending over 1 million Israelis to bomb shelters. We have to dismantle Hezbollah, not just for the sake of Israel, but for the sake of humanity. The IDF, by the way, believes that Hezbollah has, because Hezbollah keeps firing so much at Israel, so its rocket arsenal has been reduced by about 50 to 70%. This is not just the rockets that they have fired at Israel, but also keep in mind that Israel continues to target Hezbollah weaponry and rockets and missiles arsenal. So the IDF does believe that Hezbollah does not have too many missiles and rockets left. So I think that they still are capable of launching 20 to 200 rockets a day if they want to, but I believe that they're probably gonna, it's probably gonna look like the situation in Gaza, that at some point they're not gonna be able to launch any more rockets, or they would want to save the ones for another day. I don't know, but the IDF released they brought a group of journalists to southern Lebanon, and one of the journalists interviewed the brigade commander and asked him, is there anything that surprised you by being here in southern Lebanon? You've been here in the 2006 war, you had intelligence, you do now have intelligence. Is there anything that surprised you? And what this commander said, he said that what surprised him is to see that every house in every village along the border with Israel had weapons there. So he basically says that every household in towns alongside the border with Israel in southern Lebanon took upon themselves to serve Hezbollah and to store weapons, rockets, and missiles inside their homes. So this is dramatic. It basically means that every house is basically a terror target. Every house decided to take part in this war against Israel. But of course, Hezbollah has been orchestrating all of that, bringing destruction to Lebanon, to the people of Lebanon. Now you see that Lebanon is turning into another Gaza. Entire streets that Hezbollah has been using, entire buildings that Hezbollah has been using have been leveled to the ground. As the Prime Minister said, every house that will store rockets and missiles will be a target. And yeah, so that's what we're seeing going on in there. I also want to talk about the whole UNIFIL drama that we're seeing developing. But just a few numbers to kind of organize things in your head. Since the beginning of the war, Israel have had over 24,000 rocket sirens. 39 people were killed due to rocket and missile fire, according to the latest report. Even though it's very tragic, it's actually remarkable to see how the Iron Dome, how the Israeli military, the Air Force, the Arrow system, the David Sling, they're working very well in intercepting tens of thousands of rockets, because I think that the number of total rockets that were launched into Israel stands at around 26,000. So some rockets were intercepted without a rocket siren, some fell without a rocket siren also. But the city with the most rocket sirens is Kiryat Shmona in northern Israel. I've been there. It's now a ghost town. A lot of these cities along the Lebanese border have been evacuated and announced as closed military zone. Not Kiryat Shmona, but also another interesting number is that the peak hour that Hezbollah fires rockets at Israel, Hezbollah and Hamas, since the beginning of the war, the hour that is with the most rocket sirens is between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. So that's what we're seeing happening. The United States, by the way, following the Iranian ballistic missile attack on Israel, firing around 200 ballistic missiles. This is not fireworks, this is not rockets, these are ballistic missiles. So following this attack, the United States has decided to send to Israel a defense system that can intercept ballistic missiles fired into Israel. So that's definitely great to see that despite disagreements, the United States takes a bold stand against terrorism, because at the end of the day, standing with Israel is actually safeguarding the future of the United States and fighting radicalism. This is something that is an interest of all of us together, not just of the Israelis. When Israel is under attack, it means the United States is under attack and the free world is under attack, because Israel is the one democracy in the Middle East. So all democracies should take a stand with Israel against this radicalism. But another crazy report that we see is that Hamas actually, the IDF retrieved this intelligence from the Gaza Strip by Hamas, written by Hamas, that they planned a 9/11 style attack on Israel. So what we saw on October 7th, this day of horror, with 1,200 people dead, with 254 people kidnapped, they planned something much worse. According to this intelligence report, they plan to target the second tallest tower in Tel Aviv, that is 70-store tower. They also plan to target the iconic Azrieli towers in Tel Aviv. I don't know how exactly, but they plan to use every infrastructure and turn it into a third infrastructure, to target the railroad, the railway systems in Israel, to target boats, and basically get into the center of Israel and cause much more damage. That's just insane. They plan to topple towers in Tel Aviv, in the heart of Tel Aviv, killing civilians, targeting civilians. That's what they were planning. Actually, Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, according to this intelligence acquired by the IDF, he asked both Iran and Hezbollah to join the war, when basically tried to convince them and say, if we are going to invade into Israel, are you guys going to help us? Are you guys going to join us? Iran thankfully said that it is not ready to do that in the near future. I don't know what the situation would have looked like if Israel came under attack at the same time from all the enemies would target Israel. I mean, we are seeing it now, but on October 7th, if all the countries would come against Israel, this would have been a much bigger challenge. Even though we do know that Israel is capable of dealing with attacks and with defending itself, and we never lost a war. But basically, here's the crazy headline: Yahya Sinwar made a vow to the Iranian regime and said, "I'm able to destroy Israel in 2 years. If you guys are going to fund my evil terrorist plan, I'm able to destroy Israel within 2 years." That's what the report says. That's what he was planning to do, not to free Palestinian prisoners, not to target military infrastructure in Israel. He was planning to destroy Israel. And that's what these protesters are chanting nowadays: free Palestine from the river to the sea. They're in alignment with what Hamas wants to do, to kill all the Jews, to basically free Palestine from Jews, from Israel, because they don't want peace with us. They want peace without us. Now, I want to talk to you about a headline that is really dominating the news right now. And of course, how surprising, this is Israel coming under fire. Israel is being accused of killing UN peacekeeping soldiers. UNIFIL, basically, this is an army of UN forces from different nations that are stationed along the border between Israel and Lebanon. The world is accusing Israel of targeting these two of these soldiers. Actually, 40 nations that contribute to the UNIFIL forces have joined this one big condemnation against Israel for targeting the UNIFIL forces. But what really surprises me is that they were silent when Hezbollah were targeting these UNIFIL forces and filming it. Hezbollah militants and its supporters were going after these UN peacekeeping forces, their convoys in Lebanon. Actually, in 2006, listen to this, in 2006, Hezbollah's leader, Nasrallah, whom Israel took out a few days ago, thankfully, in 2006, he said that these UNIFIL forces are in Lebanon to protect Israel, not to protect Lebanon. Basically, inciting hate and violence against these UNIFIL soldiers. And guess what? In 2007, 1 year or a few months after he issued this statement against the UN forces, there was a car bombing attack on this UNIFIL convoy, UN peacekeepers convoy, killing 6 UNIFIL soldiers. And according to the reports, Al-Qaeda took responsibility for that. Radical Islamists, basically. So this radical Islamists, Nasrallah incited, and then other radical Islamists took it to their own hands and targeting these UNIFIL soldiers. And people were not. The world is going about its day because they can't blame the Jews. They can't blame Israel for that. That's not the only incident. There were other incidents in which UNIFIL forces were targeted either directly by Hezbollah militants or indirectly by their supporters or people that are inspired by Hezbollah, killing UNIFIL soldiers, injuring them. And I don't recall the same extravagant condemnation. Actually, UNIFIL forces along the border, according to UN Resolution 1701, following the Second Lebanon War, that basically that led to ceasefire. This UN resolution said Hezbollah has to withdraw from southern Lebanon, past the Litani River, and to disarm itself. Did Hezbollah really do that? No. But this resolution 1701 also gave the UNIFIL soldiers the authority to arrest Hezbollah militants that are armed and are threatening their safety. And of course, Are we seeing UN soldiers making arrests against Hezbollah militants, Hezbollah terrorists? Of course not. They're too little and they're too scared to stand up to Hezbollah. So the best option that they have is to trust that Israel will do the job of dismantling Hezbollah, but then also make sure that they're condemning Israel for dismantling Hezbollah. Actually, there was this report that was written, this article on the Jerusalem Post that was written by Kevin McDonald, who was a former UN peacekeeper soldier stationed along the borders of Israel. And he said that Hezbollah would come near the UN positions, launch rockets from there into Israel, hoping that Israel would target the exact location from which the mortar shells were fired, and basically hoping that Israel would target the UN peacekeeping soldiers. That's Hezbollah's strategy, to maximize civilian casualties, to maximize damage, as far as going to target UN peacekeeping forces, and then just hope that the world would blame it on Israel. That's what a former UNIFIL soldier wrote, that Hezbollah would come near UN positions, launch their mortar shells into Israel, and then disappear. So Israel has every right to defend itself, or we have nothing to apologize for. But it's very important that you know this situation. We can't trust the mainstream media. Keep praying for Israel. Keep us in your prayers. We need our friends today more than ever. So thank you so much for tuning in to this report. I continue my mission here in California and in the United States. And if you got this far in the report, so I'd love also to visit your local communities, if not this speaking tour, so the next one, be sure to get in touch with me. And God bless you all. And remember, Israel is here.